speaker of our author spotlight today is KJ, and she's going to tell us about her Time series and the things that she's got working on, going great guns right now. Thank you.
Thank you. This is what happens when you miss a board meeting. You get put in author spotlight. Not that I didn't want to talk, but I really want to hear from all of you. So some of you folks need to get brave and come up here and tell us about your stories. Mine was kind of boring to me because I already know it. I want to hear yours. So I'm going to set my timer so I don't go crazy here. Okay. My writing journey started in 1996. Only in the fact that I listened to Outlander series on audio and fell in love with Diana Gabaldon's time travel. It's a World War II nurse that goes back in time. And I thought, how cool would that be to write a book? And I thought, no, I'm too unorganized. I don't know how to write well. Whatever. My career's been in marketing, so I write, but not fiction. So fast forward to I'm pregnant, 8 months pregnant with my second child. This is much further down the road, and my entire department got laid off. I was the director of marketing and communications for a national behavioral healthcare company. And in case you didn't know, it's really hard to interview when you're 8 months pregnant. So luckily, my husband, he was an attorney, and they offered to pay my salary and a raise to him. So I was like, sweet, I can stay home with the children. And we could eat, so it was good. Fast forward another couple of years, well, another year or two after that, and I realized that I was kind of bored. I love children, we had a lot of fun, but finger painting isn't really an intellectual challenge. So I thought, what if I wrote a book? And I thought, no, I can't, I can't do that. But I read Diana Gabaldon's book called Outlander's Companion, and that's where she talks about how she wrote, how she writes, what the different characters are. She has like a map of all the different places and everything. And in it, she talks about how she writes in a super unorganized manner. She writes a scene, and then she writes a scene, and then another one, and somehow she connects them all. I thought, oh, I can do that. That's a mess. I can do mess. And she's selling her fiction. So I thought, all right, I need a project. I'm kind of like finger painting and hanging out with very short people, and I thought, well, let's try it. So I was living in Virginia Beach at that point. We had Hurricane Isabel come through, which was exciting, but I didn't think too much about hurricanes until we moved to Florida. My husband was a lawyer, working full-time, 90 plus hours a week, and decided that he would like to be a dad too. It's hard to do both. So he quit his job and decided to be a teacher, and that brought us to Florida, north of Orlando. And we moved, 2 kids, a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and 3 days later, Hurricane Charlie hit. And that summer, 2004, in 6 weeks, we had 4 major hurricanes cross directly over our house. We were dead center. We came from both coasts. I thought, this means something. I got to do something with this. And I had a little idea of the time travel something. Time travel is rife with possibilities. You could go anywhere, anytime, any place. And then you can go somewhere completely different in the next book, and no one will call you on it, because that's how time travel works. I thought, this is pretty cool. I like to do that. So we did. And we took a trip. We were in Florida and drove to Maine on vacation. And I don't know if you've looked at a map, but that's a pretty long trip. So I had lots of time. The kids were strapped. They were safe. And I could write a book. So I started plotting. And I thought I plotted a book until I sat and told one of my friends my story. And she's like, that's at least 3 books. I'm like, okay, fine. So I had to figure out how to make it one book and have an end and start. And so I published my first book in December of 2014. And between the time I started writing and that moment, I had moved from Florida to Texas. My husband got a job at Texas Tech Law. I had a baby, my 3rd child, and I had a terrible back injury and back surgery. And that brought me sitting on the couch for about 6 months, and Twitter was out. And so I was on Twitter chatting it up with other authors, trying to figure out what they were doing. A lot of them were doing self-publishing, and I met some really great people that gave me some great advice. Some of them gave me bad advice, but we didn't know. We were all figuring it out. Self-publishing was very young at that point. And I met Suzanne Kalman, who's a good friend of mine now. We were publishing books at the exact same time. And around that time, since I'd learned a lot, I also decided to start helping other authors with their journey. This is the first book I helped Suzanne with her book cover. I'll pass this around because I found each of these actresses that are in the picture. These are friends of mine and various people. Suzanne had given me her, she dressed up as each of the characters because she's an actress. And I created the same outfits and found people that were similar and we took pictures. And so her first book came out at the same time my first book came out, Stealing Time. Here's my first book, time travel set in a hurricane. Who would have thought, right? Based in Florida, and all the hurricane stuff happens in my books that happen to me, except for hers is a lot worse, obviously. But I started doing book covers. My best friend, Jody Myers, is a professional photographer, and he says, hey, I'll help you do your book covers. So he helped me do all of my covers. I started doing covers for other people. And when an author, I'll pass these around, an author, a friend of mine, said, hey, I'm about to do a series. And he asked us to find a model and do some pictures. You want to hand these books, I'm not going to say anything bad about them, but I don't know if you really want to go get them. But look at the cover. We found the actress, we dressed her, the model, I should say. Really fun project. So I'm going to take off my Blondie's custom book covers. Fast forward, I'm still writing books. In 2014, I put my first book out. Suzanne was about to put out her second book, and I was almost there, but not quite. And so I decided to set out a short story that I called Blow. And it's based on a hurricane. It was just kind of a marketing ploy to keep my readers interested until I got my second book out, and so I did. But I had a Facebook launch party with Suzanne, showing her, I was kind of supporting her in launching her second book, and in that party I teased the word blow. I had a bubble, I had a hairdryer, I had a blowtorch, trying to have people guess what I was about to release at the end of the Facebook party. And at the end of it, I released my book, Blow, which is here. It's just a short story, so I don't have our own, but we used a mirror and powdered sugar for the hands of the clock. I'll pass this around just because I think it's hilarious. It wasn't really cocaine, I swear, but we did put that together. Not much there. But anyway, so at the end of that Facebook party, I gave everyone a free copy, and I said, here's my new book. And I didn't think much of it. I went to bed. Next morning, I woke up with strep throat, so I was just snoozing around. Suzanne texted me and said, your book is at number 8 on Amazon. I was like, what? I hadn't even really put it on social media yet. So I was pretty excited. I think the market has changed a lot. It's not quite as easy to do that, but it gave me a lot of excitement and thrills to rank anywhere. And so then I put my second book out, and to my utter delight, it appeared on Amazon between my two favorite authors, Diana Gabaldon and Michael Crichton's Dragon Teeth. And I was like, how on earth did this happen? But that's the beauty of building your author platform. You have your website, your social media, and I had so much fun with that on that Facebook party with Suzanne. I said, we need to do something together. What about a podcast? So I talked her into it for an entire year. We did one episode a week. We interviewed authors, local, whatnot. I interviewed Kim, interviewed Linda, Jody Thomas, and our very first episode was Dorinda Jones. I had met her at something at Barnes & Noble, and she was super interesting. She entered a contest and won and had all these people bidding over her, even though she was just a stay-at-home mom hanging out at home. Entered the contest just to make her meet that deadline. So a lot of inspiring stories on there. We called it Blondie and the Brit. It's still out there. It's on iTunes. You can find it if you want. They're, especially listen to Linda and Kim. They were great interviews. And then, so Suzanne and I have kind of worked together throughout this whole thing. And I encourage you to find writing buddies. We meet once a week now. We talk about marketing. We get all excited for each other's new releases. She's, of course, released about, 8 or 9 books, and I'm still out. No one on number 4. But what I'm doing now is I'm writing the 4th book in the Stealing Time series called Shattering Time. I'm I'm also starting a new series called Blondie, and it's going to have several books. That one I am going to pitch an agent, so I'm very excited about March, learning how to pitch. I've written that one to market. This book is a little hard to market because it's like Outlander, which kind of hits a lot of different areas. It's historical fantasy, it's sci-fi, it's adventure, there's a lot in it, so it's hard to peg down. It's also a little bit harder to market. My next book is very genre-specific, women's fiction, cozy mystery, small town. So I'm like, okay, that's something that a publisher can look at. I never did decide to publish this book traditionally because I met with a guy when I was getting ready to publish. He was in the publishing industry, and he told me that it might take 2 years for them to come back to you and say no, and then you'd go and pitch someone else. And I thought, I do not have that kind of patience. I am not doing that. So I did. I self-published and learned a lot. I mean, I made a lot of mistakes, but it was a blast. That's my 10 minutes. So I did want to say one more thing. One of the things that I do, I have right now, my last assessment of covers has turned into KJ Waters Consultancy. And I have a free monthly meeting that I just offer marketing advice. Usually the group gets together and tells me what they want me to deep dive into. We do a little research. And so you are all invited. We meet usually the third Monday. I have a little sheet up here with a QR code that has the Facebook page to join. And I'll put you on the email too so that we can tell you if we move locations. We just meet at the United on 19th and Quaker. Last month we did AI tools for authors. There's a whole bunch of really cool free tools out there that take your entire novel, spit out some development edits, and a bunch of other ones that help you write things, help you write marketing copy. So that was what we did last month. That's the kind of thing we do. How to use BookFunnel, how to use BookBub, lots of cool marketing things, and then some writing things as well, the Save the Cat method, things like that. So if you're interested, you can QR code that or come talk to me. I'd love to have you. Whoever's in that group now, raise your hand. There's some folks in this room. Mathis, Lauren, James, Dan. Jan pretends she is, right? She doesn't come, but she's there in spirit. I feel you.
I'll surprise you.
Yeah. But it's a small enough group that we can kind of really get some things done. And it's a lot of fun. I love it. So anyway. I did bring a copy of the last book cover I did. This is for Wayne Hughes. This was the guy that did our audio program a few months ago. Lots of fun this is like completely designed. His idea was a old guy with his head chopped open and clouds coming out. I thought, well, maybe we can get something else. I'm not sure how many people are pretty crazy old guy folks. And then, I don't know if y'all remember Mike Greer, used to be a member. Passed away a few years ago. He did his autobiography with us too. It was really fun just to kind of hear his life story and help him, get that down on paper. So anyway, that's my spiel. Anybody have any questions? Hope not. Okay. Next.